Hi guys, and welcome back to the Blues Focus channel for another episode of Opposition View. And today I'm joined by two Barnsley fans, luckily enough today, and they are from the Reds Report. You may know them if you're a Barnsley fan already, but thanks for coming on the show, guys. How are you?
All right, Tom, thank you very much for having us.
Good. It's a pleasure having you on, and I'm definitely excited to get into this one. I don't expect us to get anything out of Saturday, to be honest with you, not going to lie, but whereas this time last season, I'd have probably said different. That it's definitely remarkable what's been achieved at Barnsley this season. So I suppose just, first question for you guys would be, what are your overall thoughts of this season so far?
Steve,
go on, Carlo. Go on, Carlo. You dive in for the first one, mate.
I think survival on the last day of the season and the hopes go up and you think, this is fantastic. A relatively short break in the summer, a couple of signings, and then I think 2 draws in the first 7 matches. And it was very clear that something just wasn't working. Struber then goes to New York Red Bull, and it was at Pitbulls then. Probably a different team altogether. And the club has set out this vision of how they want the team to play, which is a high press, high intensity, very focused, very direct, with purpose. And the manager identified, the head coach identified, Valérien Ismaël, nobody had heard of. And I'd not heard of him. And as soon as he was announced, everybody's going on Wikipedia. And
we did a bit on Red Report, didn't we? We had a look at 2 or 3 of the guys that they were talking to. And we did a bit on Valérien Ismaël because we've got a little bit of history about him being at Palace and then Bayern Munich and some of the players he played for. And I think I said to you, Carlo, that, on paper, he looked like an ideal fit for us. But knowing Barnsley as we do, there's no chance. He's not even going to get off bus at our end. He's going to keep on in somewhere else. But definitely lucky to get him, I think.
Yeah, and it just fitted. I think the players, because there's not been that many changes in players or personnel. So the players have got that season behind him. So they're more experienced with Championship football. We've now got a head coach who's very much aligned with the club and gets the best out of those players. And we've got a strength in depth, which we haven't had for a long, long time. So, it's been we said at the beginning of the season, I said, I just want us to compete and not just survive, because for Barnsley, that was very much, if we survive, and the focus of the board always was stay in this league. And survival on the last day is great. It's a fantastic feeling. Although we had to wait a bit to see what the Wigan appeal turned out to be. But as a football fan, you want more. And, we're getting a lot more this season. So,
definitely. And I think, you get sick of the same old story. I know I do in particular, being in a relegation scrap every season with Blues, to be honest with you. It's certainly been a while since we were last where you are now. We have to go back to when we sacked Rowett, but that, to be fair, that was kind of where the turmoil began. But that's another topic for another time. No, that's great to hear, and I think the project at Barnsley is definitely interesting. I think you've got owners that have been willing to back, managers that have come in. Are definitely worth backing this guy from what you've seen so far. And I think, like you say, the squad depth is an interesting one because it's a big squad, but it's very youthful. Very youthful.
We've still got one of the youngest side in Championship. I mean, they use, obviously, because of COVID and what have you, scouts really haven't been travelling around, but we've not used them for a while. It's the dreaded spreadsheet that we've been using to bring in possibly players that other clubs wouldn't look at. Callum Britton, point in fact, MK Dons, he were out of contract. We could have him out of contract, but we thought, no, let him re-sign and we'll pay some money for him, as you do. Crazy. But he has come from MK Dons to, let's be honest, we were a struggling Championship side, but since new manager, he's brought him in. And what a player he is. He's lit up. He's lit up wherever he's played as an attacking sort of wing back on right-hand side. He's got pace. He can defend. He can knock a ball into the box. He's really uncovered, a really good player.
Definitely.
Even within the squad, though, isn't it? Even within the squad,
Yeah.
we had a player, Toby Sibic, who played a couple of seasons ago under Daniel
Wimbledon,
Stendhal.
wasn't it?
He was, Wimbledon. Came from Wimbledon. Everybody said, that's a big step. Stendhal came in with the task of getting us straight back from League One into the Championship. And he played at centre-back. He played as that defensive midfield. And I thought he was all right. He was developing. He was a young lad. They will make mistakes, but there was something there. New manager comes in. He goes out on loan. He goes out on loan to Hearts. Then comes back. He's then sent to loan to KV Ostend in Belgium because they have the same owners as what we have.
Yeah.
Didn't get a minute's football. Is brought back in the January transfer window. Recalled him. And almost a regular starter. And it's to me, that shows it's the man management. He is just able to get the best out of, and especially in defence, because he was a central defender. He's just, where other managers have looked at the player thinking, nah, he's not for me. He's recalled him from just training in Belgium to, coming on and being an integral part of that back three. Yeah,
and I think I remember the first time I saw anything of Sibic, it was when he played for Wimbledon against West Ham in the FA Cup. Eventful game that one was, and that was when I first heard of him. And then I kind of, when I found out he moved to Barnsley, I was like, oh, that's a good move for him, moving up. And obviously it didn't quite begin how he might have wanted it to, but at least it's working now. And I think that happens quite regularly in football. It's definitely happened with a few of our players plenty of times. To be honest, Mark Roberts, actually, former Barnsley centre-back, when he first came to Blues, to be honest with you, I've never seen a worse centre-back play for Blues in my life. I absolutely hated Mark Roberts for his first season.
It were a plan, Tom. That's what it was, mate. It was a
plan. I just thought you must be sat there with your 2 million in your pocket laughing. And, I couldn't believe it. But this season, he's just something else. He's really come into his element, and I think that really shows, it just depends who you're playing under, is how a player can kind of turn around his time.
They take time to settle in, don't they?
Exactly,
some players can, like I said, Britain came in, hit ground running, no problem. But with Sibic, you spoke about Sibic, he came in, he had a couple of decent games. He actually probably had his best game as like a defensive midfielder. But then after that, he had a particularly poor game. I can't remember who it were against. And he was never featured again. And then next thing he were out on loan, and then he went to Belgium, and he just didn't fit the manager's ideal of a player that he wanted. But yeah, like Carlo says, he's come back and he's definitely one of first names on the team sheet now.
Definitely, it's the plan, though, isn't it? It's how the club operates. Mark Roberts from non-league football, Halifax, coming to Barnsley.
Yeah,
I remember he was partners with Mawson at the back, and then Mawson took him under his wing. Mawson then left, and it was Mark Roberts with Angus MacDonald, and Mark Roberts then took MacDonald under his wing. Big money move, which for Barnsley, it's all about staying in the football. Well, obviously staying in the Championship, but also as a club surviving, because we've seen what's happening. And then MacDonald, very similar, isn't it? Sort of falls out of favour and goes. So it's about developing the players and then moving them on, and having a constant, almost conveyor belt of unearthed talent in the back, either working with the under-23s or straight into the squad to then replace them.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's a good model to have. And I think you're now finally seeing kind of a wealth of players that you've got that you might actually be able to push further than just that model. And I think you're definitely the informed side in the playoff picture at the moment. So, I mean, I'd be bonkers if you got back to the Premier League, because it's been a long time since you were last there. But if you did, then you could look to change that model or adapt it, not completely change it, still kind of bring through players. And I think if you did ever go up and stay in the Premier League, that'd be massive for Barnsley. It's certainly not something I'd have predicted a year ago. So
we'd never have predicted it, Tom, ever. But it's one of them things. You go up, and like we did before, a long time ago, you go and have a season, and you see all top players and all that sort of thing, and you come back down, and you've made a bit of money, which is fine. But previously, that money, because of the times that it was, I suppose, wasn't invested wisely, frittered away to a certain extent. Whereas now, I think if we did, or we were lucky enough to go up, Yeah, we need to strengthen. We need to strengthen massively. We know that, but I don't think the actual basic model would change that much.
Yeah.
And in that respect, then the players that we brought in would be probably of a higher caliber. But I think the main thing for us at the minute is keeping the players that we've got, because that's
Definitely.
always been his problem. We have to sell to make money. That's with that sort of club. But if we can do well enough this season, it's sort of keeping the squad together, or 90% of the squad together, to kick on next season as well.
100%.
And they don't believe in loans. We had Matty James for the first half of the season, and we caused, I suppose, some waves throughout the sort of fan base of Barnsley, because I think Matty James, in his first loan spell with Barnsley, and I've said it many times, and I will say it again, in a midfield of Vauxhall insignias, he was a Lamborghini, and the golfing class was enormous, and he brought him on. Second loan spell, I think he brought some stability in the midfield. But
more of a Skoda like Octavia this time, weren't it?
Yeah, a souped up one, but but you have to say he went early January, because they weren't, the club said we don't know how much, but rumored to be a 17 grand contribution to his wages. Well, let's be fair here. The highest Barnsley player is not even getting 15 grand, so it shows
that's big money.
It is. So they send him back. You get then, as you do in every club, you sack the board, and they don't know what they're doing, and get the Yanks out. Well, actually, January was a difficult month. We played Watford, we played Cardiff, we played Norwich twice, once in the cup as well. Have a look at February, have a look at March. We're doing all right, really, without him, aren't we? Because actually the talent we've had probably learned off him. And if you're going to rely on loans, it's a false picture, isn't it? Because unless you then sign them on a permanent basis, you still have to replace them. So they don't really believe in loan players.
Exactly. And I think, youngsters in particular, in the modern day of football with a crowd, would struggle to develop into a squad more, having to deal with a proper atmosphere. So I think for a lot of those young players to have settled in without a crowd, it's probably benefited them in the sense that they haven't had to deal with.
It's certainly benefited Anderson at back, centre half, Mads Anderson. I mean, to watch him today, you wouldn't think that when he first came to Barnsley, he was shocking, weren't he, Carlo? He were really, really. He were put. Let's be honest.
He was good in his first game against Fulham, but then after that, it was.
After that, we're downhill.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like you say, the crowd got on his back, because we're fickle, aren't we?
That's
Every
what fans
football
do.
fan's saying it's what we do.
Yeah.
And did he? I suppose he didn't handle it very well. He was a young lad in a new country, but like you said, no crowds, and the way that he's progressed and got better and better, and he's got to be now easily in top 5 centre halves in Championship, 100%. Easily.
And this is the problem, isn't it? The spreadsheet that we look at, these stats, is one half of the picture. But to bring a player from Denmark to the UK, not just to the UK, but to the People's Republic of Barnsley, that's a huge step, because Barnsley is unlike anywhere else in the world. And it's not like it's a Birmingham or a Manchester, is it? It's not a big city. It's Barnsley. And I've lived here 30 years. I love it. I would never go anywhere else. But you can't forecast how a player will settle in. And for him, it took some time. He actually went back home for a bit, wasn't he? He was dropped for a little bit. But again, under Ismaël, it's a player transformed. So it was always in him. It just needed, and that's where I think, I do, since Project's restart, if you look, besides the first 7 matches this season on the Struber, it's helped that young side get the confidence. And if you make a mistake, you don't have 12,000 people booing and whistling and shouting for your head.
Exactly. And, I can understand Barnsley fans' frustration at the time, because it wasn't easy to watch when the criticism was raining in. So, no, I completely understand it. But I think Barnsley in particular, like we've said, I think they're just one of those particular clubs that's actually benefited from this, in the sense that natural talent in their squad is allowed to kind of come out and progress and just show themselves, really. But I suppose moving on from that a little bit kind of segues onto my next question. I know you mentioned Britain a lot, and obviously Styles has had a good season, but which player in particular should Blues look out for on Saturday?
If I was being honest at the minute, Daryl DK has come in from Orlando. Never heard of him. Don't know. Haven't got a clue. He only managed to get in because he played for national USA side, I think the night before he actually signed. So that's the only reason that he was allowed to come. First couple of games, yeah, he looked a little bit dodgy, but again, young lad, new country, totally different football, let's be honest. And by God, he's like a tank. He really is. He was compared to Akinfenwa, as in the size and build. But for me, he's a lot more mobile. Really, he's a lot quicker. Lovely, he has got a lovely touch. Still settling in to a certain extent. So I would have thought on Saturday, for me, just watch out for a big lad up front. That's if he plays, because as I say, we've got choice of 6, so he might not come on while second half, but he'll be on at some point, definitely.
For me, up front, an array of talent. I think the changes for Barnsley have been the back. I know we mentioned Sidic earlier, but I think Mikael Helik, Polish defender, again, nobody heard from him. I don't know what the stats are now, but I know up to a couple of weeks ago, I think he was the only central defender that's not been dribbled past us yet. And all he does, he just does the simple things right. Because Barnsley's game plan is the goalkeeper, if it's a goal kick, will take the goal kick and the Barnsley back 3 or back 5 will be on the halfway line. So we push Birmingham into their own half. And then as soon as you get the ball, because you will get the ball because it was our goal kick, it's like that. I tried to explain it to my mother. Now, my mother's 82 and don't really know football, but I had to tell somebody. It is like 3 Yorkshire Terriers. Whoever's got the ball, and you'll find out, whichever Birmingham player's got the ball, there'll be 1 or 2 Barnsley players around them, forcing into a mistake. And because we're pressing that high, we don't have to cover much distance to then go towards goal. Mikael Helik, not only chipping in with goals, which is absolutely fantastic, I think doing the simple things right is something that he might have learned from Anderson since this season. Because you know what? If it's impossible, roll Z. Whereas before, we tried playing it out from the back and we just put pressure on our own side. So for me, Mikael Helik, especially with set pieces, and I think probably for the upcoming tournament in the summer, he's probably a shout for the Polish squad because he's been absolutely immense.
Fair enough. I think it's by the sounds of things, it sounds like you found yourself a little Polish Virgil van Dijk there. So, I look forward to Scott Hogan trying to do something against that, or Lucas Djukovic. Depends who he goes for. Either way, I'm not holding out my hope.
But you'll know, Tom. A couple of seasons ago, me and Steve talked about it because I think we were on the phone, Steve, while they were playing. When Jutkovic played. Jutkovic won 80% of the aerial duels.
Oh, he's a beast.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
And so my reckoning is, I mean, I don't know, Jutkovic probably be the better option because aerial-wise, that'll be a real battle because I know we've got big lads at the back, but actually pace-wise, if they go to him, that will create space at the back. And that's where many teams have tried to sort of exploit, to try and, I suppose, counter Barnsley. And you do that by using pace and that ball over the top. So it'll be interesting. Scott Hogan, Scott Hogan's being a bogey player. I think he scored against us when he played for Rochdale, Villa, Birmingham. So, it's one of those, isn't it?
Definitely. But we shall see. It would be classic Blues to turn over Barnsley, to be honest, when we've been in the run of form we've been in. So I think I spoke to Chris Reeve from Talk Norwich City, and he put it best. It's Birmingham or Birmingham. We'll either lose dramatically one game to somebody who we probably shouldn't lose to, and then the next game we'll go and beat top of the league like it's nobody's business. And that's just the way we've been for at least 5 years. So who knows? But I suppose kind of coming on to that, memories-wise, what's your favourite memory playing Birmingham?
I think we have to go back to the playoffs, don't we?
Yeah, I would have thought so, yeah.
Bruce Dyer?
Yeah,
that's hard. You're going quite far back for that one, but
yeah. Yeah, because we're old, Tom. Tom, we're old. You know that.
I'll tell you this. Last time we went up in 97, I mean, Steve was 50 then. So,
cheers, mate. For that. Wow.
Yeah. And you do, don't you? Because when you're a team like Barnsley, here we go, I think we haven't had much joy, let's face it, over these past few seasons in the Championship. So, we might have scraped a win 5 years ago, but actually as a highlight, there's the playoffs, and my memory might be going here now. Did we once win 5-0 live on Sky?
I knew you'd mention it. Yep, you beat us 5-0 at St Andrews.
Didn't want to mention that one.
And Craig, was it Craig? Not Craig David. Craig Davies.
Yeah, I think it was. Big lad.
Yes.
Stop,
Yeah.
Yep.
Steve, what about you?
Oh, now then, mate. At my age, mate, I can't remember what I had for my tea yesterday, so it's no good asking me that.
To be fair, the playoff one, I'm pretty sure that happened around about the time where we'd gone at least 4 or 5 playoff semi-finals without winning, season on season. Then obviously we eventually had some luck against Millwall, and then the rest is history. Got promoted against Norwich. So no, I know. I actually spoke to I think it was Martin O'Connor, who was ex-Blues player who I spoke to recently. He did mention that playoff game. So no, it's classic Blues really. And then the 5-0. I think we were under Lee Clark at the time. That was a rough period.
I only remember it because normally when we're on Sky, we're absolutely shocking. I mean, we were on the BBC when we beat Chelsea in the FA Cup. When we lost to Chelsea in the FA Cup, but it was Bournemouth, wasn't it, on a Sunday afternoon a couple of weeks ago when we played Bournemouth at home in February or January, and it was a 4-0 or what. It was just shocking.
It was shocking.
We don't do well in live matches.
You must dread Sky coming to town then.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I remember that Chelsea game. I actually watched it live. I thought you were fantastic. I actually thought you were the better side out of the two sides. So
if you look at the interviews, Ismaël said losing to Chelsea is no disgrace. It's how you bounce back from it, isn't it? Because it is another loss, and the lads go in and feel, we should have done better. And it's from that match that is this 6-match unbeaten run since that match. And I think it's the belief of keeping a team like Chelsea, and people will say, especially fans from massive clubs about 10 miles that way. I think they're currently second from bottom in this league, actually. We'll say, but it wasn't a full strength squad. I don't know.
It weren't far off.
Players, I was going to say, it weren't far off. Kante was playing.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the result might have not gone our way. The performance, that's how we want to play. And it's the belief that they got from it. If you can do that to Chelsea, we shouldn't fear, no disrespect to anybody, but then we shouldn't fear going to whether that be, QPR or Millwall or whatever. So
yeah, definitely. So no, I suppose kind of coming on definitely to recent form, I think obviously spirits must be high, but I suppose you try and kind of keep yourself calm and let's not get carried away, but we're definitely in this. So I suppose, where do you think you'll finish this season? That is the burning question.
I think the way that it sits at the minute, all right, we're in 7th, but we've got a game in hand with teams above. So it's one of them, isn't it? You win or you match their results and win your own game in hand, you're in playoffs, which I think is it's quite reasonable to say that we could do that. Like I say, you always get a team towards end of season that makes that late run. I just don't know whether we've started that run a little bit early because there's still 13, 14 games left. I'm just hoping that we can maintain what we are doing and the way that we are playing. Because at times, and I'll be quite honest, I think Carlo will agree with me, at times it's not pretty. And previous Barnsley teams, when it's been scrappy, when it's been a battle, we've sort of capitulated and, we've lost 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. Whereas now, you fall into that, punch for punch sort of thing. But we're coming out on top. And I think that is, again, due to Ismaël, but the team spirit and the fighting spirit, that, don't get me wrong, it's always been there. It's always been there in teams. But now it seems to be coming out. And, we like to watch flowing, attractive, tippy-tappy football, whatever you want to call it. But every now and again, it's nice to get 3 points just by kicking somebody up in air, or you know what I mean. It's 3 points at the end of the day. It's 3 points, and long may they continue.
Precisely.
Yeah, I think, like Steve said, we're in 7th. We've got the game in hand. The game in hand's against Derby. It's ridiculously close. I mean, besides probably Norwich, that are, I can't say running away. Norwich is our last game of the season. So I suppose, you know, you hope, don't you, that they are already promoted.
Yeah, already won it.
You know, those 7 crates of lager that they've drunk that have some sort of effect on the pitch. I think if you look at the running, there are no easy games in this division, but because confidence is so high, and with some other teams who are not getting out of that rut that they're in, maintaining where we are. Listen, I've said it before. If I would have been over the moon if we finished anywhere around 10th, 12th, that would have been. But I think you have to remain ambitious. We know Valérien Ismaël will be super ambitious. So I think he'll have targeted a playoff places. That has to be the next target. Although he'll break it down and he'll say in March so many points. But, you know, we've still got to play the bottom 7 teams. I know there's an ever-changing picture, besides for that massive club 15 mile that way, because they're second from bottom.
It's getting further away, Carlo. It was 10 mile 5 minutes since.
But I went over the M1. I'm going A61.
Oh, you're going other way this time, yeah, okay.
But so we've still got to play. We've played. January was a difficult month. We played a lot of teams that were above us. Now we're starting to play, and don't get me wrong, they're not easy. But I'd say you'd have to look for the playoffs. It's no use playing like this and winning 6 in a row to then throw it away. And I think the strength in depth for me has been the key this season. And you'll find on Saturday, when we face Birmingham, there will be a point in the match where the 3 strikers come off and 3 new strikers will come on. And we would have never thought in a million years that that any manager or any head coach would take Coley Woodrow off, who's a decent League One striker. But actually, there's Woodrow, who is, I think, you know, especially from outside the area, and he's very high in confidence. DK, Steve mentioned, he's just a specimen. Morris has got a bit of an engine on him. His confidence high. He's got 4 in 5, I believe.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting transfer when I saw it come through, Morris.
Exactly. And I think what they looked at is what we needed. We know he had Coley Woodrow, but he played so deep. When he gets the ball, there's nobody to play off to, so we needed other natural strikers. And I think Morris and DK answer to our prayers.
Definitely. And I think, you know, you look at kind of Morris and DK. I think DK is kind of the big man, and then Morris is your little man. But he's got a lot of strength, to be fair to him, but he's got bags of pace as well. And I think that's that's his game. That's what makes him dangerous. So, no, I mean, I've seen him play for MK Dons, Rotherham, Norwich. So I thought I was definitely interested at the time, and obviously he scored the other night. So things must be all right. So no, I think you have every right to be ambitious, especially when you look 2 years ago at Villa. Unfortunately, it's 16 games left to go of the season. They win 12, draw 4. So that there is every single possibility that you could, you know, have that late run, the dark horse, and get in there. And you're definitely the most informed side in and around it at the moment. So there's no reason why you shouldn't. So no, I suppose finally, just your thoughts on Birmingham at the moment.
I've always found Birmingham a bit of a bogey side, big physical side. I think we mentioned Mark Roberts. A lot of love for Mark Roberts. I still remember the season we won the JPT and we got. I still remember the season when it was him and Mawson, and we were just at the back was just ridiculous, so good. Him and Goose, Angus MacDonald, they looked alike. They did the hair alike. They were like twins. It was like Maverick and Goose, you know, from Top Gun. But it's that physical play that we sometimes struggle with. So I think if you have players like Jutkovic, if somebody like a Mark Roberts is in form, which by all sounds what you're saying, Tom. I said it to Steve. I think this match against Birmingham will be harder than the match we had against QPR, but that's just me. So as long as we don't lose, listen, I'm happy.
Definitely. So what?
Yeah, to be honest, for me, Scott Hogan. I mean, I can remember him obviously when he was at Villa, and wherever he's played, Villa didn't he have a spell at Sheffield United as well for a short?
Yeah, he did.
For a
Scored
short
3
time.
for them.
You know, sometimes I think he's not had a consistent run. I don't know if that's because of injuries or whatever, but whenever I did see him play previously, he always looked to have a good turn of pace on him, and you know, he could finish. That guy could really finish. And that if we have one chink in our armour at the minute, I would say that it is pace round back. If you can break that press. I mean, Blackburn did it a couple of matches ago. I mean, all right, it was 92nd minute. We were already 2-0 up, so it didn't really matter. But do you know what I mean? We'd pushed up, ball over at top. He'd timed his run to perfection, Armstrong. And he's quick, that lad. Can finish one-on-one with keeper. So it's that sort of, if you can break that, you're in with a shout.
100%. And I think it's oddly, Scott Hogan does seem to do better against the Yorkshire sides. So I'll be hoping. And then just quickly, before we wrap up, score predictions.
Well, I did an interview this morning, and I said 2-1 to Barnsley, because I do think, from what we experienced from Birmingham, I think you will score. I just think the comfort, Barnsley won't stray from their game plan. It don't matter if we play Chelsea or we play Grimsby, we will play the same way against whoever we're facing. So we know the game plan. We'll probably know the players that will start and those that will come on. And I think the confidence at this moment and the strength in depth will just give us the edge. So I said 2-1 to Barnsley.
Fair enough.
Yeah, not far off that. I think, like you say, I think it will be scoring game. Both teams will score definitely. So if you're getting on Sky Bet or any other other betting sites are available, I think it'll be definitely both teams to score. But I've got to go with us 2-1, possibly 3-1 as well.
100%. I mean, you've already beaten us 3-1 once this season, so it wouldn't surprise me. For me personally, I am also going to go with 2-1 Barnsley. I've got a feeling that we will find the back of the net, and it wouldn't surprise me if we went 1-0 up. But I just don't think we have quite the depth that you have, and also the plan B that you seem to have this season. And we've definitely lacked that, unfortunately, this season. So, I do think we'll go into the game positively, but I don't think we'll come away positive from it. So it's
you never know.
Exactly.
It's a funny old game, apparently, somebody once said.
Exactly. I wouldn't even be surprised if Blues somehow managed to win, because that would just be classic us. But no, thanks for coming on, guys. It's been fantastic having you on. I've really, really enjoyed the chat. It's been very insightful to your season.
I've enjoyed it, and it gets Steve out every now and then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've got to get back in now. I've got to put my incontinence pad back in.
Oh, it's brilliant. Thanks for coming on, lads. If you've enjoyed the video, these opposition view videos have done really well recently. They always seem to get a great response. Please go and check out their channel and their socials, the Red Report. So I've seen briefly some of your stuff, especially before we came on, and it's well worth looking at, especially if you're a Barnsley fan. But if you are a Barnsley fan, I'm sure you're already there. So thanks for joining us, everyone, today who has tuned in. And please feel free to drop a like on the video if you have enjoyed. Leave your comments on your thoughts for the upcoming game.
Like, subscribe, wherever we are.
Yeah, there we are. But no, and also if you're feeling extra nice, then please check out the Patreon page as well. Link will be in the description. Thanks for joining us again, guys, and look forward to Saturday. Keep right on.
Yeah, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. You too, mate.
Cheers.
See you later, guys.